Timmy, you little liar.
Nurture.
Joker.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who this be, it's your girl KylerB coming at you with a new video. So today, let's get right into this video. We are talking about Love Island USA Season 4, Episode 7. Whoa. This episode, there's no episode on Monday, so it's a Tuesday through Sunday type show. So yeah, this is episode 7, and let's just talk about it. In this episode, we're coming after the recoupling, which sent Val home. And then we have Andy choosing Sydney, which basically he stole Isaiah's girl. So with that being said, you know, Isaiah's kind of upset, like, why didn't you come telling me that you like Sydney? Like, why didn't let me know? Like, give me a heads up, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is before he recoupled with Sydney, he kissed her on the rooftop. So without even letting anybody know. So, you know, that night, Zeta, you know, and Timmy were talking, and Zeta and Timmy, you know, Timmy was like, you know, he's basically, I don't like anybody else talking to you, this type of thing. He's basically like, you know, he kind of gets a little jealous, da 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 da. So then Zeta just basically asked him, do you see us, you know, being out, working on the outside, you know, that type of question. And he stumbled, okay? He stumbled. And the thing is, even though it's an early day type of conversation, it really wasn't a deep type of thing. It was basically like, do you see us working or not? And he was like, yeah. Then next thing you know, they all go to sleep. Isaiah's, you know, kissing Maddie. He's upset with Andy. All that jazz. Maddie comes tell me, Andy, you know, yeah, we're done. This bridge burned. Da 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 da. So with that being said, next thing you know, everybody goes to sleep. Everybody's kind of okay, whatever. Then they wake up in the morning. Then Maddie comes tell Sydney that Isaiah kissed her in the bed. So Sydney crying like, oh, I'm so sad. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. Da 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 da. I'm like, you were just kissing Andy on the rooftop. You didn't even let the guy know that you and Andy kissed. But you crying in Maddie's face and all the girls' face like, oh, I feel so sad that he like moved on so fast. But I'm like, you're giving Andy a chance, aren't you not? So then, you know, Timmy like, oh, you know, that conversation that me and Zeta had, you know, I kind of feel a little iffy about it because, you know, this is early days, you know, people take that, you know, that hold the weight with people, you know, you can't be fast tracking my life, and they're understandable, it's early days, so that type of conversation is kind of a little, you know, too quick, but it wasn't too deep. It was like, you guys are both 29 years old, kind of the older people in the villa. I mean, by this time, Zeta know what she want, and you seemingly should know what you want, okay? Like, they're 29 going on 30 years old. Like, if you come in to find a significant other, you should know what you're looking for, okay? And I think Zeta's like, okay, I found who I look for, blah, blah, blah. That's what she's doing, and she's trying to be real. It really wasn't a deep conversation, although it is early days, but yeah. So then he's telling that to Jesse, and Jesse's like, oh, yeah, da 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 da. So then, next thing you know, next thing you know, Sydney pulls Isaiah for a chat and was like, oh, you heard you kissed Maddie in the bed, and da 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 da. And Isaiah's like, well, you're trying to get to know Andy, and obviously there was some type of inclination to Andy to let him know, yeah, I could choose you, I could pick you. there was some type, like, you had to co-sign it. And Isaiah was speaking real. Like, obviously, he didn't pick you out the blue. He picked you because he knew that you were feeling him too. Okay. No, but for real, he was speaking facts. Like, there was an inclination to him that, like, oh, if I picked you, it wouldn't be a problem. Like, you feel me too, I feel you, da-da-da-da-da. So Isaiah was just like, you can't really blame this all on Andy, like, oh, he just picked me, and da-da-da-da-da. No. But obviously, Isaiah's like, you know, I'm gonna go get to know Maddie, but just letting you know right now, me and Maddie, we ain't that deep. Like, it's gonna be off, like, quick. So basically letting Sydney know, like, yeah, whenever you finish with Andy, like, I'm here. Basically giving, you know, letting her know that, you know, he's still around. Like, he ain't really gonna settle down with Maddie. So the next thing you know, there was a challenge. And, I forgot, it was some wrestling challenge, and you got Dolph Ziggler being the host of this challenge. So then, you know, you got, who was the first person? I don't even remember the order. I just know Courtney and Felipe, they came at Timmy and Zeta, which is like, okay, because there's a stable, they're obviously letting you know that they're the most stable couple in there. Who else? Tyler and Serenity. I don't know who they aimed at. I don't even remember. You got Andy and Maddie. I don't even know who they talked about. I think they talked about Isaiah. No, Andy and Sydney were talking about Maddie and Isaiah. And then Maddie and Isaiah basically came at Andy. Basically was like, yeah, you're not a man, blah, 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 blah. You know, Sydney was like, oh, you know, don't get too comfortable with my man, da, 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 da. And then, who else came at Timmy and Zeta? Just Jesse and Deb came at Timmy and Zeta. Was like, oh, I don't know who wears the pants, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, you're making these, like, weird digs at their couple. The next thing you know, you got Timmy still talking about, you know, oh, after the challenge, you know, basically Isaiah said to, you know, Andy's face, like, yeah, you're not a real man. Sorry, this review is so funny. So yeah, Isaiah was like, yeah, you're not a real man. And then Andy just, like, took it like, oh, okay, yeah. And then they were just getting ready for the night. The girls were basically, both Maddie and Sydney, basically kind of like cooling off of Andy. Basically, they were saying that, you know, whenever a new girl comes in, Andy's always, like, entertaining her and, like, finding a new shiny object, which may be true, but Courtney from Jump did not like Andy like that. So when Maddie came in, okay, but Maddie wasn't giving, so then he just decided to go to Sydney. Like, he really didn't do too much hopping, to be honest. Like, Sydney doesn't even really want him, because she's like, oh, I just like Isaiah. I just want to stick with Isaiah. So I'm like, well, then you should have just let him know, like, you were giving him a chance, but, like, now you just feel like you're wasting his time. So it's just like, well, so she's about to be crying again, because now, before we even get there, so then, you got Timmy talking to the boys, like, you know, I'm gonna get to know some other people whenever they come in, you know, because, you know, Zeta, I keep on saying Zeta be like, you know, whenever a new guy comes in, well, basically Tyler, she got to know Tyler and talk to him, so that's what he's doing. He's gonna do, and he's gonna let her know. So he gets, I guess, getting the little pep talk to the boys, like, well, that's how you're gonna do, because I guess he feels so, because that question that Zeta asked him basically shook him and basically scared him. So now he's gonna, like, make his options open, because beforehand, Timmy wasn't acting like that. I don't even think he got to know Val and Maddie like that when they were in the villa. So the fact that now he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to know the girls whenever they come in and stuff like that, be open. And then Isaiah over here, like, yeah, reassure her, da 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 da, let her know that, you know, this, that, and third, but I'm gonna get to know her, get to know these other people. So next thing you know, Bria and Chazz, the siblings, come into the villa. And, you know, they come into the villa, they're siblings, whatever. So Chazz basically says he wants to get to know Serenity. He wants to get to know basically all the girls, but he left out Zeta. Basically, all the girls, and then he basically left out Zeta. So then he said Deb too. And I think Serenity, Deb, I think even Sydney he said. So then Bria says she wants to get to know Isaiah. I know she said Timmy as well. She said Timmy too. And she said Isaiah. She said Timmy. And I think she said Andy. I'm not too sure about that. But she said Isaiah and Timmy for sure. So the votes came in, and America sent her on the date with Isaiah. And then America sent Chazz on a date with Maddie. So then next thing you know, we see the preview. So they go on a date, and then the preview is showing that Chazz basically pulls Isaiah and like, oh, you didn't know that Sydney and Andy kissed on the terrace before the recoupling? You didn't know? So I'm like, these producers are mad messy, because how you letting them have their phone to watch basically, what episode was it? Was it Sunday night's episode? Sunday night's episode of the recoupling, and then, or basically Sunday night's episode of the recoupling, because I'm like, how did they get to see this? Sunday night's episode of the recoupling, or the recoupling in live time before they get into the villa. So I'm like, the recoupling was just Sunday night's episode. So how Chazz knows for a fact that Andy and Sydney kissed? So these producers are mad messy, because where were they? They weren't in the villa. So next thing you know, we see Zeta basically calling Timmy a liar and a joker and stuff like that because he's talking to Bria. So I'm just like, wow, Zimmy, we going through the trenches right now. We're really going through the trenches with Zimmy, because I'm like, I mean, Zeta should really play it cool, and like, she shouldn't be, you know, yelling across the villa to sorry, that's funny, because I'm like, girl, what are you doing? But yeah, she yelling across the villa to Timmy like, oh, you a liar, you a joker. And I'm like, bruh, why are we going through the trenches right now? Why? We only been in here for a week. Like, hello. But yeah, and also Tyler, you know, it seems like Tyler really feeling Serenity, because when Chazz was like, you know, I want to get to know Serenity, he basically said, you know, good luck. Basically like, yeah, Serenity mine. Like, you ain't touching her, you ain't stepping on my toes. Yeah, that's basically like, you want to tussle? So it seems like Tyler really likes Serenity. And I guess Serenity basically living in this villa right now, because now she got two guys that want to be checking for her, because before she had zero guys. Okay, so now she made a come up. But don't worry, if Timmy acts funny, just know some guy gonna come for Zeta. Okay, Zeta's been in that villa long enough, you know, for either Timmy to act right or for another person to come into that villa. Okay. But yeah, this is my little review for episode 7. We're a week into this season, and it's getting messy. These siblings are really coming for the drama, coming for the heat. So anyway, guys, if you guys like this video, like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, and concerns, and you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.